And she's not allowed to move into the whip. Thank you. There you go. Good. So, we don't want them to be afraid of the whip, but they need to respect it. They're not allowed to move into it, okay? Good girl. And I don't care if she walks or trots or canters, but she needs to keep going and keep going in that direction. Eventually, like I said, we'll get to the point where we can tell her to walk or trot or canter or whatever we want. But that's not going to be the priority the first time. Okay, so then when I want to change directions, I'm going to switch hands with the whip. I'm going to back up away from her until she acknowledges me. Then I'll go sideways. And ideally, I'd like her to change directions towards me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to help her out a little bit. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. Again, she's got to keep going and got to keep going that direction. And there's a lot of stuff going on with other horses going by that's distracting her, but it doesn't matter. She's got to go the direction I ask her to. So then I'll go ahead and ask her to change again. I switch hands with the whip. I back up away from her until she acknowledges me. There she looked. Now I move to the side and send her off the other way. Again, ideally, she'll change directions coming towards us. Now I may have to come in and help her a little bit again. Because I really don't want to smack her because I don't want her to be afraid of the whip, but I want her to understand that she's supposed to move off of it. So I'm going to keep changing back and forth. I'll let her go about a lap or two, and then I'll change again until she starts to get the idea of what we're asking for. Good girl. Good. Good girl. So she turned away, but she turned. So I'm not going to complain too much. I'd like her to turn towards me, but she did respond to what I was asking. Good! That was probably the best response we've gotten yet. Good girl.
Good job,
Good. Great job. So I'm going to go ahead, since she did so much better that time, and go up and tell her how good she is. Nice job! Good girl! Alright, so why don't you go ahead and take the whip and send her around a little bit, and see if you can get her changing direction for you.
Come on, Dallas. Nope. Go that way. Come on. Nope. Come on. Come on, Dallas. Don't follow me. There you go. And does it really matter like what hand you have it in?
Generally the hand, this would be your outside hand, is generally where you would want to have it.
Okay. Come on. Come on.
Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're round pinning, are you familiar with the drive line?
No.
Okay, so that's basically is right about where the girth would be on a saddle, so a little bit behind the shoulder. That's what's called the drive line, and if you want to move the horse forward, you want to be behind that drive line, okay? And I would keep the whip pointed at her. That's generally is going to be her cue that she's supposed to stay out on the rail. It doesn't have to be active all the time, but then you're in a position to correct her quicker. There you go. Send her off.
Nope.
Go ahead back to the drive line. There you go. Stay behind the drive line. So if you get up in front of her too much, then she's going to think that you want her to stop or change direction.
Okay.
Stay behind the drive line. See how you're getting up in front of her?
Come on. Can't see. Come on.
And you can tap her with it. But make sure that you're back behind the drive line. So come back over here. Yeah, you want to be like here and send her off.
Can I have a smaller whip?
Sure.
It's hard to work with.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh.
You're doing good holding your space now, huh? Stay behind the drive line. And just get her going forward a little bit better and not so much trying to come into you. So I would use the whip more. Stay behind the drive line. Think about pushing her from her hip.
Good job.
There you go. Okay, can you see if you can change directions? So you'll switch hands, back straight up away from her. There you go. Keep backing away from her. Watch the stool. When she acknowledges you right there, go sideways to your left and then towards her and see if you can send her off. And you can wave that whip and send some energy at her.
Come on.
Send her off. Yep.
Come on.
Now see if you can get behind the new drive line. Switch hands with your whip. Should be in your left hand. There you go. Because you don't really want the whip out in front of her when she should be going forward. Stay behind the drive line and send her. There you go.
Good job. Nope.
Stay a little bit behind. There you go. Doesn't have to be all the way behind her, but think about staying at her hip. Because if you get in front of her or up close to her head, she will stop. There you go. There you go. Good correction. when you're ready, go ahead and change directions again. Good job. Good. Now sideways, because she acknowledged you. And then step towards her on that new inside and send her off.
Come on.
Big energy.
Come on. Come on. Go that way.
Tap her with the whip.
Good job.
Good. Not too bad. Tell her she's a good girl.
Good girl. Good girl. Good girl.
Okay, send her off.
Okay. Nope.
And she does lack energy because you're having to stay up so close to her to keep her moving. Ideally, you should be able to be over here in the center and keep her moving. But if you came over here, she would just stop and look at you.
Yeah.
Huh? So what we want to get, in order for you to have enough willingness when you're riding to actually get something done, we have to build up to that, where you can be in the center and you can tap the whip and she moves off.
Come on.
There you go.
Good girl.
Okay, when you're ready, change direction again. This time, see if you can change without having to touch her. If you have to, that's fine, but let's see if you can get her to change just off of energy from the whip. Good girl. Go sideways. Nicely done. Good job.
Good girl.
Stay behind the drive line and keep her moving. Now, can you go ahead and pick her up into a trot and see if we can just get a little bit of life? There we go. Nicely done. And then when you're ready, change direction. Good girl.
Good girl.
Sideways as soon as she looks at you. And then try to send her off just with your energy. Good. Nice job. Can you pick up a trot?
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good girl.
Good.
Come on.
Okay, when you're ready, go ahead and drop your whip. Take a deep breath, relax, and let her come down to a stop. Good girl.
Good job.
Okay, go ahead up to her, tell her she's good, and you can bring her into the center.
Good girl. You're a very good girl. Yes, you are. Very good girl. Yes. Very good girl. Oh, yes. Thank you.
So I'm also going to give you one more thing, which is going to be softening to the halter pressure. Okay? So what you're going to do is stand at one side, and we'll play with it and see. We'll start with it down below and see how she responds. But when you give a little tug, I ideally don't really want her moving. I'd like her to just tip her head around. And see how my hand is? I'm just giving little bumps. So I'm going to stay here with the little bumps until she can just bring her head around without moving her feet, because I'm not asking her feet to move. Good. Good girl. And then I ask again. The easiest trick, good girl, for staying in position so that you don't get hit with, or stepped on, is to keep your hand up on her back. Okay? And just keep yourself right there. Good girl. Good. Nicely done. Good. Good girl. And she should be able to bring her head around and feel really light in my hands. It shouldn't feel like I've got the whole weight of her head on me. And she's actually not too bad. But just so you, as you're working with this through the week, if she feels really heavy on you, like you're having to use some strength to bring her head around, then hold her until she softens up a bit. Good. Okay?
Okay.
Want to give it a try?
Come on.
Stay right there with, and I wouldn't use any clucking or kissing noises because ideally we want her to just stay stopped. Good. And then you release and tell her she's good.
Good girl. Good girl.
So don't cluck to her because clucking and kissing noises means move. And we don't really want her to move.
Good girl.
Good.
Good girl.
Okay, try the other side again. Good. Excellent.
Good job.
Good.
Girl.
Great job.
Good job.
Okay? So, before we finish, go ahead and practice your leading around again.
Okay.
So, have her walking with you, stopping, and backing up.
Okay.
And if she gets too close to you, push her off to the right.
Okay.
Now, normally we do this with horses on both sides, but because we're not totally sure about her vision on the right, you can play with it, but you may not be able to lead her from the right. You'll just have to play with it and see if she's able to or not.
Okay.
Because it's not really fair to expect her to respond to cues that she doesn't see. A little bit better, huh? Make her stay up next to you. Don't let her push you. And like I said, you can use your right hand or even your right elbow. If she starts kind of touching you with her nose or pushing into your back, then bring that hand or bring your elbow up and push her off. Like I said, you don't have to be nasty and smack her, but you need to hold your boundaries, and you can, push her or give her a nudge with your elbow and make her move off.
Okay.
Much better. Okay,
Job.
can you have her back up?
Okay, come here.
And be a little bit more emphatic with your whoa. So she should know you want to stop. So when you're walking, you come up, you stop. And if you want to have the verbal cue whoa, then that's your time to do it.
Okay.
But really, don't just kind of, meander down to a not moving. Stop.
Okay.
Make it where she knows we're stopping.
Okay.
Good.
Good job.
Okay, push her a step over. Good. Much more responsive with her backup, though, huh?
Whoa.
That was better.
Good job. Back. Back.
Good.
Back. Good
Good.
job.
Nicely done. So do you have any questions about anything?
Hey.
So right there, that's when you should move her off and not let her push you or nudge into your back. And she doesn't get to rub on you either. When she has a really nice relationship and is respectful, then you can decide if you want to scratch her eye if she needs it or whatever. But she's not allowed to push on you, okay?
Okay.
So your main homework is going to be working on, for yourself, holding your boundaries, okay?
Okay.
And it's not going to offend her. You're not going to hurt her feelings. Yeah. It's okay. You can hold your boundary and go, look it, you can't nudge on me. The leading exercise, walk, stop, and back up.
Okay.
By next week, you should be able to have her backing up with you without the whip and hopefully without trying to push on you. If you do a really good job keeping your boundary, then you should be able to get her where she's backing up without swinging her head around.
Okay.
And then practice the round pinning. Did you have any questions with that?
No, not really. Yeah.
And then the softening.
Okay.
So those are basically our total just fundamentals. Bottom of the ground foundation. If we can get those things, and she's not bad at all. I think maybe she's had a little bit of, somebody play with her here and there. and especially with her halter, she wasn't very very heavy. She softened pretty well. So, but just keep working on that. Get her softening where she's standing still. Have you had a bit in her mouth at all, or do you know if she's ever had one?
I don't think she's ever had one.
Okay. So the better that we can get her softening and understanding the halter, the easier it'll be to transition her to a bit.
Okay.
So hopefully, because she does seem very easygoing and very willing, our main thing is going to be working on responsiveness, which, like I said, is much safer project for you. So we're not going to complain. But we got to get her responsive so that when you try to ride, you can actually accomplish something instead of just feeling like you're fighting with her.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll, if you keep working on it, then we should be able to progress pretty quickly over the next couple weeks with her.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I plan on using her for like 4-H. Have you ever done 4-H?
Oh yeah.
Seen 4-H shows? Yeah, I plan on using her for that, and then I had wanted to use her for like barrel racing and stuff, but I found out she couldn't be used for those kind of things. So
yeah, but that's okay. You can get her going, and like I said, she'll, I think, be a good little first project for you.
good job.
And you can take that little whip out with you when you go to get her from the field, so that right from the beginning, as soon as you have her caught, she has to walk with you.
Okay.
And not just drag behind.
She said she was hungry. She's lying.
Yeah, I grew up showing in 4-H.
Yeah,
I only did horses, though. I didn't get
Yeah.
into other farm animals, but...
I do lambs and horses.
Oh.
I think I might do a steer this year.
Yeah?
Possibly, if I can afford that, but... Yeah, I have had bad luck with sheep. Like, I can,
Oh, yeah?
my first lamb this year, actually made weight. And I've been showing sheep for like 5 years now. Yeah.
Do you show them for meat or for wool?
I show them for meat. We don't really have a wool class here in Missoula. And then I just, the lamb that I raised for market this year ended up being bought for breeding.
Oh.
So now I have a breeding project and a market project for next year, so. Good, you?